comes alive. Who you gonna call when you get on the line? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 If there ain't no curve, there ain't no ball. The globe religion's about to fall. We're gonna open your eyes so you can see who you're gonna call if you wanna be free. GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS!
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. We accept the reality of the world we're presented. As simple as that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of GLOBEBUSTERS Tech. I'm your host, Zach. Good times for all. And today we are going to be talking about piezoelectricity. This is a follow-up from last week about how rocks grow. You know, we were talking about growth in crystals and how a change in pressure, a change in temperature, things like that can actually, cause certain things to start growing into crystals. And piezoelectricity has something to do with that because piezoelectricity has to do with putting pressure on a crystal and it giving off an electric charge. It's really neat. It's really well understood. It's even applied in some of the new technologies coming out with all the renewable energy and things like that. They're finding that piezoelectricity is a good way to harness a lot of the the electricity, the power that's being used by us. See, I know I need to get into a little technical stuff right now. Rockfin, I hit go live. It says I'm live, but it doesn't. Like the go live button is black still. I don't know what's going on. But stream status live. Press stop streaming on OBS when finished. But it did not come up on my Rockfin feed. So I do not know what happened over on Rockfin. I apologize. I guess we'll just go with it. Cam? You're muted.
I'm double muted. Muted once and muted twice. Yeah, that first time you muted me, I was muted, so that wasn't me in the background, believe it or not. But I would say that let's roll with it, and then we will just upload it from here on to Rockfin after the show if it doesn't go up. If not, we're going to be, I think there's been some software updates in that. I know Karen had trouble getting on, Kyle. I think you did too. I think let's just keep rolling.
All righty, sounds good. Well, let's start with you then, Cammie. How are you doing this week?
I am doing better this week. Went in and saw a doctor actually, and I'm working on my way on getting better. And I think I got ran down with the trip and company and everything, and just had a bit of a tummy bug. But I'm definitely on the way back up, and hopefully can stay there.
Awesome sauce. And next up, Mr. Kyle Adams. Kyle, how are you doing this week, sir? I see you're putting out videos and comments all the time now.
Yeah.
And I'm actually subscribed to you again. Yeah.
Yay!
So if you guys didn't know, I've been subscribed from Kyle's channel 3 times now. So if you were subscribed, he did have his last channel taken down. So he is trying to build up his channel back again. But I was unsubscribed from that channel already. He did have his last channel taken down. So he is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a kind of painful process to build it all back again.
Yeah, it
But
absolutely is. So
that's
if
just how
you
it
aren't
goes.
subscribed to Kyle, make sure you get over there and hit that subscribe button. So how was your week, Kyle?
Oh, it's good. It's good. I've been rolling out a lot more of those interviews from Flattoberfest. I still got a bunch more to go. And so yeah, it was fun. And so got a lot more of that. Today I just re-released another section of Modern Earth Science Destroyed, and people are really loving that series. And yeah, I can't wait to get them all out. And I'm thinking I really want to continue on with that. And so yeah.
Awesome. And last but not least, Miss Karen B. Karen, how was your week, ma'am?
Going great. Been great. Pleasure to be here once again.
Loving all the technology and all these new advancements, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's really a double-edged sword. I was thinking about this today. We're going to get off topic of piezoelectrics just for a second, folks. And I was thinking about what's going on in this country. I was watching a video about Disney and how they're supposedly, some people might say, they're pushing a certain agenda. And it made me get to thinking about the people in Germany back in the 30s when the big corporations and the government all got together and decided to push a certain agenda. There wasn't really a voice for the people that could reach lots of people. And today we have the internet, and we're allowed to come on here and talk to you and give a different point of view. And I see a lot of pushback to this whole culture that's trying to be thrust upon this nation here in the United States and pretty much the Western world in general. But us having these platforms to, allow us to retort what the narrative they're trying to spin, it's really a game changer. Like, we would be Nazi Germany right now if it wasn't for the internet. If we didn't have the ability to all, come together and get a different point of view besides just one focus, pointed point of view by every corporation, every TV outlet, every movie, every child's everything. But we have this internet which allows us to come and talk to you and let you know there are people like us out here that think like you and don't want to go along with this. So I was just thinking about that, and earlier, like right before the show, and then Karen, you were saying how they're connecting everything and without even our okay and this and that. And yeah, it is like they're overstepping so many bounds, but at the same time, without the internet, I think it would even be worse. I really do. So it's one of those double-edged swords. So just think of it that way, Karen.
I know. I try to.
But
It is a tool, and it can be used for good or bad.
yeah, as
And
long
you really have to practice internet. You have to try work at privacy and safety and all that stuff.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. So okay, enough about that. Now we're going to talk about piezoelectricity. If I'm saying that right, Cami, was I pronouncing that correctly?
I've heard it piezoelectricity or piezoelectric. I think it's what part of the world you're from, and I've heard it both ways. I don't know if it's a right or a wrong. I think it's more of a tomato or a tomato. I'm hoping you guys can hear me better. I'm on a microphone tonight. And
Yeah,
so
much better.
I think the problems that we have anything from here is I do not have a voice made for radio and the cadence on it. But this is a fun subject. I did not restudy for it tonight, but it's something that's always fascinated me. It's something that occurs with rocks, and so of course I love it. And Zach, as we get to it, what it is and that you're going to love, because I wasn't aware really until you asked the question, are all rocks piezoelectric, piezoelectric? That with rocks, it means to me that you don't understand in rocks like how it's happening, but you do understand how it's happening more than anybody I know. In other words, I'm going to fractal your knowledge, and you're going to know more and understand it a lot better than me by the time it's over, just because your base components in this area are so strong. And I think if I throw how it applies to rocks, you're going to say, whoa, that's
All
so
right.
incredibly cool. So I like that.
Well, let's throw it together.
So
Did you have anything you wanted to present?
Me or somebody else?
You. Did you have anything like a visual or anything you wanted to show while you were talking? Or should I just play like a video in the background?
I want you to do you have a video just to show what piezoelectricity is? And if people see the visual of it, and the visual if you crunch a certs, or the visual if you do lighters, certain types of lighters and that. So we want to go back and tell them, like, show them what the effect is, and then I'm going to end with rocks and that. So if we have any visuals, my things are going to be how it works.
Okay. Well, this was just a quick 3.5-minute video here, and it explains it very nicely, I think. Let me know if it's too loud when I hit play.
No sound.
No sound at all.
Yeah, I'm not hearing any either. Is there no sound in this one? No.
Element in order element.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. Okay, well, actually, let's go over this first part real quick. In piezoelectric materials, an applied mechanical stress will generate a voltage. So what he's saying is, if you apply, take it and squeeze it between your hands, mechanical stress, physical stress, it will generate a voltage. Conversely, an applied voltage will deformate the material. So if you take a crystal and run a charge to it, it will actually vibrate the crystal and get it to start moving. Okay. If a varying voltage, if a varying voltage is applied, the material will vibrate. Vibration of the appropriate frequency produces sound. That's so cool.
I'm thinking about those noisy power lines all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get a lot of electricity going through them, and they make sound.
It says this is how buzzers work.
This is a piezoelectric.
They are used in watches and musical greeting cards.
Yeah, I've seen those in those cards before.
Yeah, that's piezoelectrics right there that they're using to make that noise. It's crystals they're using to make the noises. Isn't that amazing?
Never would have guessed it.
This is a piezoelectric element that we obtained from a buzzer like this. Here we have the piezoelectric element connected to a voltage meter. When the element is pressed, a voltage is produced. We can see that voltages of up to 20 volts are obtained. For a useful circuit, we need more components. A diode has been added to the piezo element in order to rectify the output, and a capacitor to store the energy that we produce.
So we're taking the technology and we are controlling it. The technology that we find in rocks and in nature, and we're finding ways to, again, make it useful for us. This is how reality works.
As we press the piezoelectric, the capacitor starts to charge and the voltage increases.
Wow. Now they're using this type of technology, I think it was the Netherlands maybe, somewhere over there, and they were putting it into the sidewalks. So as people walked along the street, it charged up battery banks that would then run the lights at night.
That's so cool.
I can
it's
imagine
so
them doing that on
simple.
a freeway or something like that.
Exactly. It's so simple.
There's so many missed opportunities for like free electricity, like so many opportunities.
The waves, the ocean tides.
Yeah, and people don't want to really tap into it really because it's off the grid.
Well, yeah,
and,
no, Kennedy had an idea to tap into the tides back in the 60s, and they shut him down.
I thought
The
they were
power
doing that in the
companies.
Netherlands, though. I watched a thing about that where they had turbines in the ocean and they were
Yeah,
harvesting
turbines.
energy
Yeah,
that way.
there's some doing it that way. That's what he was going to do as well. The turbine idea, where the tide comes up and just pours in, and then it
Mm-hmm.
flows out the bottom. And yeah, that was his idea. But I was thinking of piezoelectrics, where you just lay things underneath the sand, and as the water comes up and just laps on it each time it hits, it's going to charge it a little bit. I don't know. Let's let him play it out.
And then, of course, there's saltwater batteries.
Yeah. Look at that. It just keeps going.
The question is, what is the limit to this? Like, how often does it need maintenance in order to kind of go again?
Now let's make a slightly more complicated circuit, adding a LED and a switch.
Yeah, this guy's pretty smart.
Here's our circuit. We have the piezoelectric element connected to the capacitor through a diode. The diode rectifies the output from the piezo. We have the LED, the resistor, and the switch. Let's now turn off the light. And when we press the switch, the energy stored in the capacitor is used by the LED. Now we need to charge the capacitor again. So we press the piezo, and as we pump, the energy in the capacitor starts to rise, the capacitor charges, and the LED lights when we press the switch. We can charge again and repeat the process in order to use the energy that we are producing with our element.
So can you recharge greeting cards?
I'm not sure. I am not sure. You're muted.
I would think that you would be able to. I would think that you would be able to. I think that the way that they make it, they don't build that component into it because making it rechargeable, it probably costs pennies to make the, less than pennies to make the little piece, and to make it so it would actually take the charge and redo it. It's not probably feasibly, smart as cheaply as they make this. I dropped a video into chat, Zach, that was just going to show you. I was looking a lot of the stuff that I'd like to show. I know for a fact they'll strike us because it's Action Lab and Steve Molden, that people that like to put strikes on our channel. But I did drop one in just showing this is what happens when you rub quartz together. Also to go along with this too, and showing this in nature. We're showing it made. We're showing what we can do with the technology, but we're not showing the natural technology that got us there.
Okay.
I smashed a couple crystals together on unveiling this realm one time to show that they spark up when you do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like rudimentary piezoelectricity.
This exactly your rudimentary piezoelectricity is you striking your quartz together, or your lighter, your fireplace lighter. The long lighters, they work that clicking. It's hitting stones together that makes the spark. When you have
flint.
exactly when you're crunching the certs in your mouth and clicking it with your teeth and looking for that spark, that exact type of thing. And I think Zach's going to just give you the visual for this demo.
Okay. I think I am all ready.
Because we went pretty advanced there, Zach. I'm going to take you back to just the basics, throw you in on how it happens, and you're going to take it to how we get back to advanced again.
Well, yeah, it's as simple as getting some, what are those breath mints?
Certs, yeah, little
Certs.
certs,
If you
or
if you
wintergreen lifesavers work great.
yeah, if you go in the dark and look in a mirror and you put them in your mouth and you bite them down real hard, it'll make a spark in your mouth. You don't feel it, you know. It's not a high amount of
It's-
voltage, but crunching those crystals together and putting that pressure on it will actually make sparks in your mouth. It's
and
really
it's
neat.
considered, it will make a light, and the light is considered cold lighting again. Once again, in the grouping of lightings that we call cold lighting.
Okay, here we go.
It is not producing heat on this.
I've seen that when you rub crystals together, they'll spark up too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what he's going to show. What happens when you
Yeah, I
rub
was
together?
rubbing these crystals together. Grab 2 crystals I had outside. We're right in here. A back closet. Have my wife hold the camera. Hold on 1 second. All right. I'll do it with a little light and then we'll shut the door. Hold on.
Seeing it a little bit.
Shut the door.
These aren't like perfectly smooth, otherwise I could just do it. So they're just kind of rough.
And if he was clicking them together, he'd get a better. Yep, there we go.
Oh, there we go.
Now let's close the door.
Wow.
Oh, that is like chalk or fingernails on a chalkboard, isn't it?
Now, does that ever run out in crystals?
No, but if you do it the way he's doing it, you're going to abrade
Break
and
'em
destroy the
away.
crystals.
You're gonna mess
Yeah,
up your crystals.
You're going to mess up your crystals really bad.
But like that
They're
guy with
perfect.
his crystal pad, I mean, would that ever stop creating a charge as long as because he's the one really
No, it's
creating
not.
the
It's not.
charge in him with his muscles, you know. But will the
Other than
crystal always convert a charge that way?
pretty much is.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Sorry.
I was going to say yes, it will, as long as the alignment and some other things are in action. And again, it doesn't work with all crystals. It will only work with some, and we can go into why that's so. And this will help you put it into how they're doing it with wires and what they're recognizing and what's happening. So, are you ready to dial back to the basics?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Crystals, I need somebody to be my partner that can draw on screen. Who wants to be my playmate? Karen, Kyle, Zach, anybody have a screen that you can? Excellent, Karen. To remember, like when we said the crystals grow, this is Karen anyway, they grow, and we're going to take this really simple into 2D because the concept, again, you can bring it out to 3D and get it more complicated, but let's take it to the basics. When we talk about the platonic solids and the sacred geometry that crystals grow in, the lattice structures, not the external shape of the crystal, but the lattice that they grow in. And we understand this lattice by cleavage planes and growth patterns and different things about it. You'll break them down into different things. And the way they identify them when they break down in gemology and that, you can pretty much take your different shapes. And so with this shape like quartz, where you've got a hexagonal system, Karen, if you draw a hexagon on the screen, just a rough outline of a hexagon.
Where am I supposed to draw it at? I need to.
I don't know if I don't know. That's why I'm having somebody else do it. They can pull up a pad that, or even
I have to start Photoshop.
Yeah, or
Okay.
pull up a picture of a hexagon that we can draw on. It's the visual
Yeah,
of it.
I just have to start Photoshop real quick.
Okay.
It won't
I'm
be
running with this because
more
Cammie
than
hasn't been
just a
feeling.
sec.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I got to share screen.
A crystal in
it's
4D.
crystal in 4D, but we're going to do it in 2D a little bit. We're just going to have a little bit of fun with it because, again, once I get going, Zach, you'll take it and you'll understand why some, like, for instance, diamonds are not piezoelectric, nor is magnetite, nor as you'll start looking at things, Karen, you'll know a lot of things that are and not, and some of the things are fairly complicated and it's almost easier to test them. But in the simplest thing, crystals grow. So like a diamond grows in the cubic system. So you could draw a square.
A square?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Now on each one of the corners, put a plus and a minus.
Well, hold on. Because that was not a square. That was a hexagon because first you asked for a hexagon.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now we have a square, right?
Okay. So if you're going to put like a little plus, the way that you're looking at the arrangements of crystals and the way they grow, if you remember, and Kyle, in this, I want you to get the visuals. These platonic solids or their lattice systems, picture them almost like tinker toys. And like, if you remember, they said like diamonds have a very tight dense one where coal has your elongated of the same, and you've got different variables in it. But the structure of it is the way it grows in the little tinker toy shapes, right? So make it very simple. And diamonds, for instance, grow in the cubic pattern. And on the cubic pattern on here, and it's an arrangement of positive and negative charges. And that's all it is an arrangement of the crystal lattices of high pressure and low pressure. So if you were to put a plus and alternate plus and minuses on the corner here, on each corner, actually do it on the tips on the corner. So plus, then go minus. Yeah, exactly.
Dang it.
And I'm making this really hard to do nothing, by the way. In this square, no matter what you do with this, no matter how you squish this, you're going to have a very even charge pattern. No matter how you turn this, no matter how you press on the, exactly, Zach, no matter how you press on this crystal, no matter how you do it, your charge potential is going to even out. So if she does plus minus, that needs to be a minus.
Oh,
Plus minus. That's okay. This is just for a concept. Sorry. Zach, it's starting to click in because he's going to take it from here. This is fun because I know how much he's going to love this. And that's a minus. And I'm making her do all of this work to say that no matter what you do, no matter how much pressure you put in any direction on this, you're not going to change your configuration at all. If you squash that plus, like if you push in on that plus and even it out, you can't change your arrangement of your plus and minus patterns on here, right? But now draw a hexagon. What I was going to have you draw, because a hexagon or something like quartz is going to be piezoelectric because we're going to arrange the charges differently and something's going to happen.
So how many different plutonic solids are there? 7. And how many are even?
Well, you're going to go your evens and your odds, and then you're going to get into complex things where you're going to get into where the crystals grow over. So that's what I mean. You'll get complicated. But a lot of these things in this system, and this is the one that you're seeing the most piezoelectric in, and it doesn't matter that it's stretched out in there because that actually helps you a little bit, Karen. So you can leave that there, but we still want pluses and minuses.
Now I get the whole idea of the plus and the minus, but I don't understand why it gathers that way in a crystal. That doesn't.
That is what determines what the crystal is. Everything about the crystal is determined really a lot, but it's lattice structure. And we could take you back to, again, if I that crystals 1958 would like help you with the arrangements and how they grow, how we understand they grow in these arrangements with cleavage planes, with micro doing them out. It's like the little building block shapes of it, but they take them to, I guess, the electrons, but they're high and low energy potentials. So in the crystals, what they're saying is see along the left side, Karen, if you were like to push down on that, how that, if you were to put pressure on here and your negative aligned with your 2 pluses, you would have, a line here that's overall positive. At the other end way, it's getting smashed. That plus is going into the middle between those two. Now all of a sudden you have a dominant positive plate against a dominant negative plate, and you have the sparks happening just like on your plates that you're making lightning between, Zach, your positive and your negative plates, because putting pressure on them creates these plates of energy or negative positive arrangements. So we know by the arrangement of the lattices which crystals act your piezoelectric, and again, this is explained. I'm very simplifying it, but things that grow into like the cubic system, for instance, will never be piezoelectric, but ones that grow in the hexagonal system are going to be. And so when you start looking at systems, Karen, as you're doing your crystals and what systems they grow in, you'll start like pulling that back into it, like, oh, that would be piezoelectric. And with this, again, a lot of it is the material itself and how easy it is to, again, the way it's aligned and pressure it into that situation. But it's simply your plates went your positive and negative energy, and they're taking this technology and creating electricity and building technology based on your rocks rubbing them together and what's happening.
I'm thinking back to a PBS episode I watched some while back about how everything is electric. Electromagnetic. Everything is electromagnetic.
Everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Zach, you're on mute.
Bounding it together.
Yeah, Walter Lewin gave a great speech at the beginning of his 802 electricity and magnetism course about how everything is controlled and pretty much made up of electricity. And he goes through this long list of all these different things that you would not be able to do, or the technologies we would not have, or even, animals or plants or all these different things. If there was no electricity, they wouldn't be doing what they do. It's really amazing. I love it. I've put it in so many videos. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Now, okay, so what would a plutonic solid that would not be piezoelectric be? Would that be like the pentagram?
A pentagram would not be, and a cubic would not be. In other words, your even numbers here where you're doing your, again, your plus minus here, you have to almost look at it and visualize and say what will happen when you put pressure on this.
Yeah, that's weird. That's just...
It's an alignment. So again, you can get into dodecahedrons and different ones like this and say, when you're pressuring them, will you, doing a pressure on this, will you create this condition? And it's really that simple. But when you look at the arrangement of the charges and know that they're like the little building blocks are these shapes. And then, so if you multiply them in rows against each other and do it in layers, so that's why, again, the piezoelectric, it doesn't work at all angles. You have to push on it, almost hitting the tips, like on the alignment where you're creating that line, not pushing, down this. You guys don't see my cursor, but going down. So you have a arrangement to the crystal. The crystal has to be aligned in a certain condition. You have an orientation, and though you'll have multiple possible orientations, obviously, on that. But again, you have to have the correct angle and then pressure. So him sliding against it was probably not the most efficient or your brightest, but it's fun. That was definitely
really, if you
most
just
destructive.
Take a nice crystal.
That's how I did it too. I did it the destructive way.
Well, you can just set it down, put a connection from a voltmeter on each end of it, and then just put a book on top of it and put pressure on that book. Just any type of smashing that. will create that charge. You don't need two crystals. One crystal will do this all by itself.
Yeah.
Right. You just don't get the light to be, again, you can get the, you don't get the sparky lights that you get under just putting a light pressure, but you get the effects, again, the practical effects of it.
I am going to try to find this video. Keep talking, but remember the one I was watching, the mantis shrimp, and he hit that snail and it made a spark?
Oh,
It did.
that's yeah. I remember watching videos about the mantis shrimp because it creates a compression bubble under the water and it lights
Yeah,
up.
it's so fast. It's faster than a 22 bullet coming out of a gun.
Hmm.
It's striking. The fastest moving animal in the animal kingdom.
Yet it's called a shrimp.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Brutal.
Well, keep going, Kay. I'm going to try to find that. Jeez, oh Pete. I don't even know when I watched it.
With it, and what he's talking about is another source of lighting, and all of this comes into play with like all of the natural lighting, how it comes about working with vibration, with sound, with energy, with charges. And with this, again, when you talk about crystals growing and taking, again, we saw what the bismuth did last week in the organization on the outside on this, the way that it grows and the organization of this is incredible. We sit there again and we look at human and cell division and we look at plants, and we're not looking at how the perfection in crystals, in rocks, and the miracle it takes to get there, and the advance, like how brilliant it is. It's electricity, it's sound, it's vibration, it's the elements coming together and organizing themselves in such ways of perfection. It's not an accident. It's not, I don't even know where to go with that, Kyle, but how do you even
Programming.
beauty? Yeah,
It's been programmed.
with the programming. And again, if you see the beauty of it, the creation of it, you'll understand, again, some of my frustration with people saying it's coming out of bricks, because I think the brick ruins on mountains are a really fascinating topic too. And it's like, don't have, we can have them both. We can have them both because we made the bricks out of beautiful earth and beautiful ground, and a lot of the time stone. And so again, it's just stopping and looking how remarkable it is.
Okay,
How are you doing there, Zach?
I found the video. Now I just need a second to find the spot where he does it. Yeah, I was fascinated by these mantis shrimp. And it's not even their ability to strike that's the most fascinating thing about them. They see like from the 400 color spectrum, like all of they see way better than we do. And each eye has 3 pupils on it. So each eye can see depth perception, and they can both gather information looking different opposite directions. Like each of them are their own little, it's.
Their eyes pick up polarity changes, Kyle. They pick up, again, they pick up polarity shifts. They pick up ultraviolet rays. They pick up their nanometer spectrum is completely, it blows
They're
ours
way
out of the
more
water.
intelligent than people give them credit for.
Right.
Yeah. It makes you wonder exactly why they're non-kosher. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that, but I look at that and realize what a small spectrum we actually see with our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it?
Oh, no. We were going to, and I think with our technical difficulties and people getting on, Alan was going to join us tonight, and he is very, very good with that. He was going to do the heavy duty nerdy as far as the electrical regarding the piezo. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if he was not able to get on, or if we had a confusion and maybe he thought it was next week.
No, he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to. I just left him an open invitation.
I know
Well-
in Europe they recently passed a law to where you can't eat octopi anymore because they are considered intelligent beings. And so I kind of wonder where that's going to go in the future when it comes to all these other animals that we find out are way more intelligent than people are expecting.
Yeah.
That's weird. I had a feed in my thing today about people eating the raw oysters and saying, do people realize that they're alive when they're eating them and that they might feel pain? That was actually this morning's article. I was like, well, I've never cared for them. So
I don't eat those either.
Okay, check this out. So this club right here moves faster than the speed. See the little compression he created right there? Let me go back real quick. Watch right in between his shell, the shell and his club. When he goes to hit it, it's going to create this little bubble right in between. Oh, come on. Okay, here we go. Come on, do it.
Just
So this
do
is
it.
super slow motion. So I hit it. You see the bubble that cavity created? Now watch the shell right here. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
totally looks like
Look at all the electricity in there. That was piezoelectricity right there. Him hitting that shell, this is piezoelectricity going off, reverberating through that shell. Just awesome. I just wanted to show that part.
you wouldn't know the part on it where they talk about how fabulous their eyes are in there.
Yeah, that could be a whole thing in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a neat one I found. This was from phys.org, liquid metal synthesis for better piezoelectrics. Atomically thin tin monosulfide. So let's see. So these right here, as it bends, it's creating a piezoelectric effect just by bending it. So they'll go on in the article to talk about maybe putting in this for like your pacemaker or something like that, having it hooked up to something that is on you that is always moving. Maybe like part of your arm, have like a brace on your arm that you just bending your arm like this would charge it up constantly or
Makes me
something
think
like
of
that.
sharks. I think sharks are the animal that they constantly have to swim, otherwise they die. I'm not sure how true that is, but yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah. Nano generators, they call them. Just little tiny, just you bending it all the time would create the charge. Yeah, they're teeny tiny. It's almost as if we're being given this technology, being able to make something that's like, so infinite. They're talking like atomic layer, one layer of atoms of this certain type of how much credence do you lay into that? Or is that just as small as we can do it right now? What would you guys say? Do you think there's, it just doesn't make, because I don't believe in atoms myself, but do you think there is an infinitely small amount that there can be of something?
I don't know. It's smaller than
Infinite?
an
No.
Or
electric particle.
is it fractal? Can you just keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller and cutting? If you could see smaller and create something to cut it smaller, could you keep making it smaller?
I mean, possibly, but I think it just goes beyond our
Yeah.
abilities.
Yeah. That's what I think too. I don't think there's a smallest limit. I think if we had the ability to cut it smaller than an atom, then we could. And we call it an atom, but that's just as small as we can cut it.
Hmm.
Yeah. But just another way they're using piezoelectricity. Now this one, let me get rid of that. Did we do this one yet? No, okay. This one right here is neat. This one has John Hutchinson talking at the beginning about piezoelectricity. We won't watch the whole video. He goes on to do some stuff and just pretty much talks about it is a neat video, but I really just wanted you to see John Hutchinson talking about this stuff at the beginning. Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Zero-point energy devices could revolutionize the planet. If you can build a zero-point energy reactor about the size of your microwave oven, put it in the back of your house somewhere, you run your house. You don't need to, you run all its electricity needs. You don't need to pull anything off the national grid. Well, if you put that into the third world, you're going to revolutionize the third world. That is as much a threat to some people as it is a benefit.
And as far as the Hutchinson effect goes, I'm rather disturbed that the U.S. government and aerospace corporations has it. The concerns of it being used for an evil force by the military-industrial complex disturbs me quite a bit. I like to see it used for the helping of nature because there's so much pollution going on.
He doesn't look like a vampire.
And tends to want to fight each other all the time with wars.
Yeah. If you've never looked into John Hutchinson, that's something you could, I mean, you're going to get, you know, a lot of people saying he's a nut job. Then you're going to get people saying that he's a super genius.
Well, that's kind of
I was subscribed to his YouTube
the really
channel.
smart people end up having some kind of out there views of things, and so that's kind of the funny thing about things.
Yeah, he kind of lost.
But they did. I think he was messed with though, because I was subscribed to him. Like when I first got into Flat Earth and everything, I was looking at stuff. He had a channel on YouTube. And I would watch it, and he was like talking about him. He would get parts off like old ships that were salvaged and stuff, and he would get all this cool equipment and do these tests with it. Well, it started where his channel was just him like cross-dressing, like dressing up as a chick named Carla. Yeah, and he'd be wearing a wig and it was horrible.
I think he was trying to drive people away.
I don't know, dude.
I know he was getting hounded a lot. People were bothering him a lot once he moved out to Oregon. And that's when, because I was watching him every day. He was live every day, normal, for like a long time. And then, then Carla showed up. I was like, dude, what's going on?
Weird.
Are you all right, John?
He got messed with, or something started going wrong with John. Anyway, eventually they just took his channel down. I don't know what he's doing now.
He would sit there and play with like uranium. Just sit there and play with it in his hand, and then go and turn on his beam and go stand in front of it. They're like, yeah, I'm fine. I can do this as long as I go and stand in front of this beam so long a day. Blah 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 blah.
Maybe that might explain it.
Yeah, it could too.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Mother Nature rolls on with great energy and power.
It's absolutely essential for the world, the survival of the world, that we get off petrochemicals. Failure to do so, it really threatens our national survival.
This is basically what I'm talking about with finding energy.
Is this the same guy?
Where we never thought was
energy. No. I didn't think so.
This is my little experiment table now. I've set it up.
I'm like, wow, he really did change a lot.
I'm going to experiment with electrical motors. I'll probably have to get a couple alternators from a car or something to experiment with those. That's going to take a longer.
Yeah, he never really
term for that one.
He's mostly just talking
this guy
the whole time.
It's not going to be easy.
He's showing, how quartz crystals.
But you could grind them together like that.
Grind and make spars.
It's tourmaline. I didn't know what tourmaline was before, and that same rock shop that I got was worth $5. He
just goes through and explains a couple different things. It's really a neat video. I'll drop it in the chat for you all right now. Let's see here. Paste. There you go. Extreme Budget. Pretty cool channel. And then I had one more I wanted to show you guys. How to build crystal power cells. Long duration power. This one's pretty neat. This is a laser saber Great channel. If you've never been over there and checked it out, go check him out. It's got a lot of subscribers. Never struck me before, but we'll see. This is 1.3 million views from 9 years ago, so he's been at it a while. 15K. I'm going to go ahead and thumb that up. Surprised that wasn't thumbed up already. I know I did before.
How to build the crystal battery?
Yeah, well, a crystal power cell. You'll see. It's neat.
There are companies that do make crystal batteries, though, and it's a trip how they work too. By the way, it's really a trip.
That'd be a good show.
You could do a whole show. I talked about it on Coffee Talk for quite a while, and it was just like, I can't cover it by myself, and it's a really cool subject.
Maybe we could get
we should
LC King in for that one. I'll talk to Lucas and see if he would like to come and talk about crystal batteries.
Ben too. Ben called in that day.
Yeah.
It was very interesting, those crystal batteries.
Yeah, it's so cool. Flat earthers have so much knowledge to go and talk to people about stuff. It's an awesome community. This one's real cool. I would actually like to give this a try because this seems like it's almost too easy. But yeah, check this out. This is really neat.
Back there and look at that. There it goes. Man, that runs fast too. So 1.4 volts, and it's putting out, I'll put this on the 10 milliamp setting. Okay, it's greater than 10 milliamps. All right, it's putting out 90 milliamps. Okay, so I've had lots of requests from folks on how to build the crystal power cell. And if you followed along at laserhacker.com, I've had some crystal power cells on there powering a motor and an LED for the last 2 years on a live video feed. And I've just got comment after comment with folks asking, how do you build the crystal power cells? So this video is going to go over the building of this cell. It's very simple.
It's held to charge for 2 years, is what he's saying?
Yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous. It does. But that's why I want to try this. It doesn't seem that hard. You just need the right ingredients. You use some type of like a zinc or something like that on the inside, copper on the outside, and then you create this putty out of crystals, though. And
you grind the crystals into the putty?
You'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, and I don't know how it works, man, but it seems to be like a battery. Like you were saying, Karen, almost like a crystal battery. This is what's charging. There's supposedly nothing connected to it. I mean, I've never seen anybody say this guy was a scammer or anything. I've been watching him for years, Laser Saber. I've seen lots and lots of his videos. In no video did I ever get the indication that he was,
faking it.
Yeah, faking it, tomfoolery, anything like that. I never got that impression from him. But I forgot all about this. I really want to try this. I was building something else at the time, and this was on the back burner. I never went back to it. But yeah.
Good one to rev your engine with, right?
Yeah. Check this out.
The process I go through when I build a crystal power cell. And these crystal power cells, the first time I saw them on a YouTube video was years ago. John Hutchinson showed one running a small motor and kind of talked about them. IB Pointless 2, John Bedini, lid motor. A lot of us were experimenting with these a couple years ago. And then I just put some into long-term testing. I just put them on a shelf and said, let's see how these run over the next few years. And they've been doing quite well. I've been quite impressed with the duration of runtime I've gotten out of these. And I'm going to build up some more here. I'm actually going to build a larger system, but this video is going to document the building of a single cell. I'm going to build a 10-cell setup, and I'm going to get around 15 volts. And subscribe, follow along if you want to see that project. It will probably be the video after this one. So there seems to be about half a cup of alum in one of these containers. So I'm going to go ahead and use all of that. And I just want to break it up a little more in this coffee grinder so that it mixes better. It's really clumpy. But yeah, half cup of each of these ingredients.
Zach?
Yeah, that should be just right.
Yes?
This is really cool because while you're doing this experiment, Karen and I can be taking the alum and growing some crystals under the microscope.
I know. I was just thinking about that. I was
same
like,
thing.
You could grow crystals too with salt and alum.
And all of this stuff. I also even have some kits with dyes in them and that.
And
But
the main
I think more of the hands-on doing
potassium chloride in here.
and showing is what gets
Alright.
me excited about going forward. But yeah, Karen, you too, you saw that alum and you think about growing it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so now we want to get half a cup of the borax.
So he's got all kinds of good stuff that he's
As you can
mixing
tell,
in
these
there.
are very approximate measurements.
I'm looking at his ingredients. It's good stuff.
Because
Yeah.
with a 2-year testing time and the previous cells still going, it would take a long time to really figure out the perfect ratio. But after 2 years of use, this ratio seems to be working pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and powder up the borax at this point. And that will leave the last ingredient, which is the Epsom salt. And we'll get that in here. So
All
half
stuff
a
you can
cup
get at your grocery store, pretty much.
Epsom salt. And you can see this stuff is really granular, so we're going to have to blend this up a little more to get a good mix.
We're going to need to get the coffee grinder.
Okay.
I wonder how strong the charge is
I'm
on
going to go
that.
ahead and put a cover over this, and we'll shake this up. We really want to mix all these ingredients together thoroughly. So
I just don't recommend breathing any of the dust that puts off.
Yeah. I was thinking, I'm like, he should be wearing a
so we've got
mask.
this stuff mixed up, and we're ready to
Filter or
actually,
something.
build the crystal cell.
Yeah, I'm against
So
masks
we've got the
most
burner
of the time,
on.
but
I've got the
when you should, you
magnesium
should.
core here ready, and
When
we're
you're
just going
dealing
to
with
build
crystals in
very
powder
simple,
form, you
crystal
should.
cell.
Always.
Yeah.
Always wear a mask.
You really should.
Yeah.
That's the only time you want to do it. But yeah, definitely when working with dry grinding stones.
I'll breathe in your
100%.
spittle all day long, but if there's crystals in powder form floating around, you better wear something.
Yeah.
The magnesium
Smart
core with
girl.
the copper pipe cap. And the only difference I'm going to do is I'm going to put a spacer down here so that this magnesium core doesn't get pushed up from the bottom and out the top, which has happened
So it's a magnesium core, not zinc. Okay.
to mine. If you look at the live video feed on mine, over the years, this has actually been getting pushed up from the bottom. So after 2 years, it's about a quarter, maybe 3/8 of an inch higher out the top. And I want to stop that by putting a cap on the bottom. So yeah, we'll proceed. Okay, so I've got a small wood disc. I'm going to go ahead and glue that on the bottom of this. And it's really, gravity is going to hold it down. So I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue on
What's going to hold it down, Zach? No.
and just basically glue that right to the center.
Whatever he wants.
All right,
to call
so
it.
we're ready to
At
start
least he
adding
knows there's
the
something
material
there.
around the cell. And I've got the hot plate set to warm. You really don't want to overheat this too quickly, or this material will just come bubbling up and out of the.
So no
Temperature
liquid.
matters.
No liquid whatsoever.
Temperature matters.
Big time. Yeah,
Mhm.
like you said, not too hot, or else
Mhm.
it'll bubble out.
cell, and it'll be a real mess. So,
like baking a cake.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have this burner on the lowest setting. This is on just warm, and I can tell that the crystal cell material is really getting hot. It starts to get in a molten looking state, and that's what you want. So on the lowest setting, it's adequate heat for really getting this stuff melted down. Okay, I'm going to use this heat gun just to warm up the top section, because a lot of times the bottom section will get really hot, but the top section will not be as hot, and you'll get this stuff boiling at the bottom and still kind of crusty at the top, and that can also create a situation in which this material will bubble up out of the cell. So
yeah,
a little bit of heat up here.
Heat down in there.
Is that a candle warmer?
No, it's a heat gun.
No, the platform that's sitting on.
Oh no, that's a cooking plate, a hot plate.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's starting to really bubble and boil in here. So I have this small piece of wire, and I can work around and just kind of work the material back down into there a little bit. But this is getting very close to being done here. I just want to make sure it has enough material to bring it all the way to the top. So I've had to alternate between the hot plate and the cooling stand here a little bit to get the temperature right, but this looks to be just about right. So what I really don't want is I don't want a lot of large air bubbles, and yet I want the material to be in a liquid state and very very loose and fluid around the magnesium core, and that's exactly how this is right now. So finally got this correct, and I'll bring down the camera close to this so you can see what that looks like.
Might take a couple tries to get
Okay,
it.
so you can see here that there's a small bubble over here, but if I tap it, it just disappears. So we really want to keep it in this state as it cools down. Okay, so I really like where that's at. So rather than letting this bubble up and battle that changing in temperature, I'm going to try cooling this off at the bottom and just setting this in water at this point. I really think that's the secret to stop this from bubbling out of the top. We'll just try it. I've never done it this way, but I think setting this in here will allow this to just firm up just the way I want. So I'll leave that and we'll see. All right, so this is cooling off, and you can see a really nice top surface on here. And taking this from the hot plate right at that critical moment and setting it in the water to cool off stopped the heat from the bottom that was creating the bubbles that were coming through the top. So that seems to be working really well. Now you just want to leave this alone until this becomes rock hard. So don't get impatient. Don't go, oh, I'm going to test it now. If you were to jostle this, you would form a crack fracture between the two materials. So you want to let this set up hard like concrete before you do anything with it at this point. So we'll leave this in here. I'll come back in 20 minutes, half an hour, and take a look at it.
Okay, not that long.
Okay, so the crystal cells all cooled off. The crystal material set up hard like concrete inside here, and that's just how we want it. I went ahead and sanded down the outside, so this is all cleaned up. It's ready to do a first test, and what I thought we had tested with is this small DC motor. So let me just connect up.
Okay, did you see that? He picked up this. There's nothing connected to this DC motor. I don't know what this is right here, though. Whenever I watch these, I'm not doubting them, but I'm always looking for that, you know, how could somebody fake this?
Yeah, with electricity and kind of the wow factors, there's often an element of you got to do that. You got to have that element of I don't know about this skepticism.
Yeah, you have to.
I went ahead and sanded down the outside, so this is all cleaned up. It's ready to do a first test, and what I thought we had tested with is this small DC motor. So let me just connect up here. I want to connect to the outside of the copper case. So we'll make sure we get some good contact there. And look at that, there it goes. And that runs fast too. So yeah, I'd say that's a really good crystal cell. Hey, it's got some torque. Listen to that, folks. You can hear that snapping against the side there. So that's pretty impressive. This turned out to be a great crystal cell.
Could it be that easy?
It could be.
It didn't look exactly easy making it all. It kind of looked time consuming on the matter. But yeah, he said he could get it to hold a charge like that for 2 years. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, now imagine if you built a very large one of those.
Yeah.
Is it scalable?
I don't know.
It should be. I mean,
you would think.
Or even just like mass produce those.
Yeah, run them in series. Get up to 120 volts.
Mm-hmm.
Run a refrigerator out in the middle of the woods for years.
That would be a great experiment.
Yeah, it would.
I think so too. And I think with the things that you need for that experiment and things that we need for some other experiments, we're going to have to share stuff. And we know how to share.
Yeah. But that's definitely one I'd like to try out. Again, that was Laser Saber. I'll drop that video in the chat for y'all. But that's one I think we should try here real soon, Cammie.
I agree.
Just to see, because I mean, if that's possible, we could set up a fridge out in Karen's woods, out in the back of the woods, and just see how many years it could run, or something. Doesn't have to be a refrigerator, but
yeah, how big would we need to run a refrigerator though? That would be quite a.
I think a fridge is 120 volts at 2 amps, 1.5 amps, depending on what kind of fridge it is. Something like that. It's not that much. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think that would be cool.
Ted, he's
you
all
need
in
a
for
lot
it.
of them.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear him say that, Thunder. The 0.001 amps.
Well, if you build a bigger version,
Yeah.
you'd have to see.
Well, yeah, we'd have to test it.
You have to test out building bigger versions of it and see what you get from the bigger version.
It could be a single soda refrigerator. I mean, I'd still be impressed. Having that cold drink available.
That's what I'm saying, like a mini fridge, a little one.
A little.
I wonder how.
Or even just get like a couple of those little batteries and connect them together, and yeah.
I wonder how strong that would be, that crystal solution. If it's as, I doubt it's as strong as concrete, but if it were, you could set up a thing and underneath your house, and that would be like the foundation.
That would be crazy to build your house on top of that. I just wonder how radioactive that would be if that were to be like the foundation of your house. Just a whole bunch of those. But a lot of it looked like it was putty, so you'd be kind of like making your foundation out of putty.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I'm not sure how hard it gets or how brittle or strong.
Yeah.
It actually is.
It looked like he peeled the edge of it off in order to get his electrode in there.
Well, even if we're not trying to run a refrigerator, something that, is much less power. Light bulb. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Hold on.
Hold on. Okay. Well, I think that's going to do it for Piezoelectricity. It was at least a good jumping off to get you guys a just an idea of what it can be used for and another way to harness energy. Or if we think about it, how it would happen in nature. If you had giant crystals under the ground and say there was a cave-in or something, and then all this extra pressure was created on top of that crystal.
Or could that be how magma is heated up?
That's what I was.
Below the surface.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I was going towards. Electricity. Once you gather so much of it, it's going to disperse in three ways: heat, light,
especially because quartz is piezoelectric, and quartz is like the most abundant mineral on Earth. There's huge things of quartz underneath the ground.
Yeah. So all this stuff that's happening around us. You got to remember pressure, crystals, electricity. Sorry, Kyle, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just think about every hot spring that is out there. There's like a lot of potential for just a natural power plant right there. Something like Old Faithful or something like that. That's a natural power plant.
I forget where they're going to do it. I know it might be in another country. It might be here in the US maybe, but they were talking about digging large vent holes to where it gets, hot, and then putting turbines in there and just Earth releasing that hot energy up through that hole, that vent, and then putting turbines on it. That's free energy right there.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous that they're still just the power companies are going off of coal and other things like that. Just a way to milk the system and make as much money as possible with the oil companies and other things like that.
Yeah, they definitely don't want us thinking about different ways of creating our electricity. That's for sure. Yeah. On small scales, it seems like they don't mind it. Piezoelectric doesn't seem like you're going to get a whole lot out of it to like power a city, maybe. But I love the idea of running the streetlights like they're doing in the Netherlands by putting it underneath the sidewalks. I think that's genius, with just charging up a battery. Like the guy was sitting there pressing it, and it just kept building up a charge more and more. Things like that.
Well, couldn't they do that same sort of effect too with like street lights or on lights on the freeways with cars going over the freeway?
Yep. Yeah, I know they're using wind turbines on freeways now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You'll
but
see
wind
them.
turbines,
It's not always windy
not so
and
efficient.
yeah. When it
Yeah,
comes to
no,
pedestrians, there's not
only when
always
the
people
cars are
walking.
going by. They're real small. It'll be this little thing right on the side of the freeway, and from the cars going by, not so much the air up
Oh, yeah.
above blowing by, but just the air right next to the freeway, always moving in that same direction from the cars going by.
Yeah.
They're I don't know how much they're going to get off that, but I've seen them putting that up in, it might be the US, it might be other countries, I'm not really sure. But yeah, there's so many different ways to create electricity, and this is one of them, by simply applying a mechanical pressure, like a physical pressure, to a crystal. Certain types of crystals, the piezoelectric ones. And like Karen was saying, quartz, the most abundant element, not just crystal on Earth, but the most abundant element on Earth. It's like there's more quartz than anything else.
I think that was the weird thing about the battery that you're showing us, was because you're not really applying pressure to it. It's just there, which is kind of the amazing part about it.
Yeah, that was really neat, those batteries like that. That'd be something that I think we're going to have to try out, Cam. You're muted.
Imagine that with the dogs going crazy in the background. Yeah, no, I definitely want to try that out. And again, a lot of the different things. I'm definitely itching to get my hands dirty again. Sitting in front of the computer playing the videos is not my cup of tea. I like hands-on.
Well, all right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Sorry about it not being up on Rockfin yet. We're going to have to get that up there, and we'll let it run free for a couple of days or something like that. Our apologies if you're seeing this on Rockfin right now. So sorry. I think I made 2 of them, and somehow when I erased one of them, it erased the main.
When you were prep.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know. But it'll be back up.
Okay.
Over on
It
Rockfin.
happens.
Yeah. So we're gonna head out. Kyle, anything you'd like to say before we get going? Anything you got coming up this week you'd like to let people know about?
I've just got that continual different video every day kind of getting published, and just keeping up with that. And I'm thinking I really want to start expanding more and talk about like my Miro board, which is like my home base for everything flat earth related, because that's where I keep everything organized, and I script out my next upcoming videos and all kinds of stuff over there. And that's where I do my big debate board. And so I'd like to do some more debate highlights and stuff like that. So try to encourage more people to use that. Because when you get into a debate on Facebook, it's just really messy. You get one person who presents 10 different topics, and then you get 10 different people trying to talk about those 10 different topics all at the same time in this narrow chat column. It's just all kinds of messed up, and all kinds of, it's just not made for that. But when you get into Miro, it all branches out so nicely, depending on how you decide to organize it. But it's got so much potential there that I just can't get enough of it.
Awesome. Karen, what do you got going on this week?
Well, I've got my usual stuff: anti-religious scripture study on Saturday, and coffee talk on Monday, and Strange World on Tuesday. But I think I will be doing a coffee talk for members stream tomorrow.
Yes.
So if you're a supporter or on Rockfin, you'll see an alert in the morning.
I will be there.
Sweet.
All right. And last but not least, Cammie. Do you have anything exciting going on this week you want everybody to know about? I know you'll be over at Have No Sphere tomorrow night.
I will be over. Yes, at Iron Realm tomorrow night, and be in the GLOBEBUSTERS chat on Sunday. And I'm just taking it one day at a time, getting better, stronger, and making it through the season. Hopefully, again, hands-on stuff coming up, something to give joy.
Awesome. All right. And for me, yes, you can always find me over at Iron Realm Media, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Eastern, and then to Friday nights, 6 p.m. ish, 7 p.m. ish, somewhere around there. We show up precisely when we are meant to. That'll be Have No Sphere. That's Walter, Josh, Cammie, and myself, and we always have a lot of fun over there. It's good times. It's kind of therapy, group therapy, where we all just kind of vent and make fun of stuff, and yeah, it's a good time. Everybody needs their group that they can just. Jaron was learning that today. He had something to vent about, and he came out to the garage and he started venting, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I was like, "No, that's what family is for. That's what your family is there for, to vent to get it out, and so you don't explode, on other people. You can just say it and get it out there, and then you feel better just by saying it. It really does help." So yeah, that's what we do over at IRM. It's kind of our therapy session, and yeah, I love it over there. So you should come hang out. That's going to be it, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Remember, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind, because there's truth inside. Peace.
Peace.